We've been talking about Republican presidential candidate Marco Rubio more and more lately. I think that the more Donald Trump and Ben Carson attack each other, the better it is for Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio has been climbing in the polls. And as long as he can keep his thirst and sweating to a minimum during the debates, I think Marco Rubio is going to continue helping himself do better and better in the polls. However, there are now rumblings about a Marco Rubio Mistress debacle that some say is about to explode. Here are some examples. Here is just a list of articles written about this. The Minority Report blog had the headline, Bombshell, Marco Rubio's alleged mistress comes forward. The Political Insider, bombshell report against Marco Rubio. This changes everything. Legitgov.org, Marco Rubio mistress bomb about to detonate. And Fitz News say sources, Marco Rubio mistress bomb about to detonate. Okay, the main points of the story are, number one, Marco Rubio has or had a mistress who's a Washington, D.C. lobbyist. That's number one. Number two, according to an operative who has worked on more than one current presidential campaign, they say that there is a focus of opposition research about this alleged mistress, but that person declined to give any more information. However, there is now an interesting counter narrative which is developing, which is that this is all a Jeb Bush plant to try to claw his way back against Marco Rubio. The rightperspective.org and The Week both have articles suggesting that this entire thing, Lewis, is all based on an unconfirmed rumor about Marco Rubio, and that the Jeb Bush campaign is doing everything they can to pitch it to news outlets to try to bring down Marco Rubio. We'll ultimately know, I guess, if the story does or doesn't detonate, as the headline suggests. We will know what the truth of it is. But I'm more interested in the fact that if Jeb Bush is mostly going after Marco Rubio right now, to some extent, the Bush campaign must also believe that it will not ultimately come down to Trump and Carson. Otherwise, why else would they go after the third place guy?
Right. Unless the mentality is attack everybody,
Yeah.
and hope for the best. Yeah. It's amazing what headlines can do. I mean, even if there is no evidence of this, or if it's a completely fabricated story.
Yeah.
If these headlines are popping up here and there, it could do damage to his campaign.
There is this documentary, I think it's called The War Room, right, which tracks the Clinton campaign. It's a documentary with George Stephanopoulos and James Carville during the Clinton election. I think that's the name of it. Towards the end of the campaign, a call comes in where someone is telling George Stephanopoulos, we are thinking about running a story about Bill Clinton having a black love child. And George Stephanopoulos, very calmly, who at the time was advising the campaign, a strategist, says, you don't want to do this. We've looked at the story. The story's not true. You don't want to risk the future of your journalistic career by running this story. Very calmly. And the story ultimately never ran. And whenever I hear about the mistress rumors, I think back to that great scene in the film and just how masterfully George Stephanopoulos prevents that from going anywhere.
Yeah, a story that seemed not to be true.
Right.
But in this case, maybe it is true. And we'll just have to wait and see. I really don't know what to think about it, but it's just a fascinating thing we have brewing here.